एष देवो विश्वकर्मा महात्मा सदा जनानां हृदये सन्निविष्टः। ॐ सहना भवतु।
ॐ सहना भवतु।
सहनौ भुनक्तु।
सहनौ भुनक्तु।
सह वीर्यं करवावहै।
सह वीर्यं करवावहै।
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु।
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु।
मा विद्विषावहै।
मा विद्विषावहै।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
So I hope you remember, may we be protected, may we too, the teacher and the student, be protected, may we be nourished. Whatever we do, may we do with the full spirit, being anchored in ourself, wherefrom the virya comes, atmana vindate viryam. And whatever knowledge we acquire, let it become blazing like fire by living the knowledge with wholesomeness. Let the knowledge become powerful like fire blazing forth. May there be no intolerance or hatred between us. This is the Shanti mantra. Now the first verse starts with Om Ushanhavai Vajashravasah.
Om Ushanhavai Vajashravasah.
Sarvavedasam dadau.
Sarvavedasam dadau.
Tasyaha.
Tasyaha.
Nachiketa nama putra asa.
Nachiketa nama putra asa.
Tam hakumaram santam.
Tam hakumaram santam.
Dakshinasu niyamanasu.
Dakshinasu niyamanasu.
Shraddha viveshaha.
Shraddha viveshaha.
Somanyata.
Somanyata.
Now it starts with the story of Nachiketa. Nachiketa's father is Vajasravasaha. That means the son of Vajasrava, or belonging to the lineage of Vajasrava, whatever it is. He did a big yajna, that is Vishwajit yajna, which will take him to a very high level of heaven. That was the... You should be able to make out, there will be mythology, there will be some imaginary things along with that real things, but the purpose is to give us a message. So our focus should be on the message. There will be various imaginations here. We should not be led astray by that. But whatever is spoken of in the Upanishads, they have great meaning regarding our sadhana. Now, see how it starts. The first word of the Upanishad is Ushan. Om Ushan Havai Vajasravashaha. Ushan means being desirous of. It starts with desire. What is this? Anybody doing any yajna will do it out of some desire. Otherwise, why should he do? Because the yajnas are always promising some fruit, either in this life or generally in the other life, that is after the body falls. you will be taken to this heaven, that heaven, or if you do it wrongly, you will be taken to this hell, that hell, etc. So unless you desire for heaven in the other world, why should you do yajna? So it is said that Suvarga kamo yajet. There is a statement in the Veda. Suvarga means Swarga. Kamo, kamaha, yajet. That means those who are desiring heaven, they should perform yajna. Suppose you don't want to attain heaven, you don't have the desire, then yajna is not meant for you. But all these yajnas are designed in a manner that while performing any yajna, so much of disciplines are there that if you do it properly, automatically you will undergo some change. Your mind, intelligence will undergo changes. Because it needs lot of patience, lot of attention. And they have given threat that if you miss this, if you wrongly do this, then you will be taken to hell. So if you perform wishing a heaven, then naturally you have to be very careful and attentive about that. But even then it is showing that Vajasravas was not. That is what he is saying now. Now there is another concept important here is that generally yesterday I discussed about Karma Kanda and Jnana Kanda. That is the ritualistic part of the Vedas and the Upanishadic or knowledge part of the Vedas. There generally the belief is that if you perform the yaga, jajya and the rituals prescribed in the Karma Kanda, you become fit for the Upanishads, studying the Upanishads and following the Jnana Kanda. That is the standard belief they have. Now the Upanishads are pinpointing that no, it is not so. Whether you are fit for the knowledge or Jnana Kanda, it depends on whatever characteral qualities you have acquired. If by performing the yajna you have not acquired the requisite qualities, then you are not fit for knowledge. Now the yajnas are designed in a manner that if you perform it fully to the following the text fully, whatever they have, and deeply also understanding their deeper meaning, whatever is the instructions according to that, then automatically you will develop the characteral qualities which will make you fit for the knowledge. That is why the ritualistic part is there. Those who have been performing the upasana, puja, etc., following the rituals in the Vedic instructions properly, their mind should grow, outlive the desires, and they should be fit for the knowledge is the general concept. But suppose by performing the yajnas, you have not acquired those qualities, then you will not be fit for knowledge. That is what he is saying. And not only that, suppose you have not performed the yajnas, but you have the requisite qualities, then you will be fit for knowledge. So they have created the story in a manner that Vajasravas, the father, who is performing very great yajna, but he was not fit for knowledge, and he was performing in a with a very constricted mindset. Whereas Nachiketa, who was a Kumara, means below 7 years or 8 years old Nachiketa, the Upanishad is showing that he was not only fit, Yamaraja himself gives him the certificate that the whole knowledge is wide open before you. Brahma sadhana is wide open before you. Simply walk in. May more and more disciples like you come. So he was absolutely fit for knowledge, an 8-year-old boy. So naturally this Upanishad, the Guru is the Yamaraja, which is an imaginary character. And Shishya is Nachiketa. So to say that the Guru is giving instructions to an 8-year-old boy or a 7-year-old boy, naturally there will be a question, is he fit for knowledge? So the whole story in the beginning, first section, it shows that he was fit for knowledge. And what is the fitness criterion? We generally say sadhana chatushtaya. In Vedanta, the fitness criteria is called sadhana chatushtaya, the fourfold pursuit or fourfold virtues. It is actually pursuit. They are viveka, vairagya, shamadamadi shadga sampatti and mumuksha. They are fourfold. Why? Because they are not independent. We cannot say that I don't want viveka but I would like to have vairagya. Or you cannot say I would have vairagya but I don't want to have viveka. It is not like that. They are all interconnected. And also I use the word regenerative, means suppose A leads to enhancement of B, so then B also, as it grows, it will lead to enhancement of A. So they, one will help help the other. So like that both qualities will go on increasing. Here all the four will increase like that. Suppose Viveka, which means the discrimination between which is permanent and which is impermanent. It can be explained in various ways. It is a discrimination between Atma and Anatma. That is, what is the I and what are the inert things. What is the consciousness, what is inert. It can be called Kshetra Kshetrajna Viveka, as it is in 13th chapter last year we did. It can be called Drigdrishya Viveka. There is a composition like that. The seer and the seen Viveka. Like that, various Vivekas are there, all are that. All are same in a way. They are approaching through different pathways, but they all mean the difference between Nitya and Anitya. What is permanent and what is not permanent. What is changeful and what is imperishable. For the other people who have not come to the Vedantic level, for them also Viveka is applicable. There it is the discrimination between Shreyas and Preyas. Shreyas means whatever will take me to the ultimate auspicious goal, that is to the Nitya. So initially, and Preyas means what is immediately pleasurable, but which will take me away from the auspicious goal. So initially the Viveka works as a discrimination between Shreyas and Preyas. Then as a person becomes a real inquirer of the truth, then it becomes Atmanatma Viveka or Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka it is called. The corresponding Viveka between what is the truth and what is untruth. Now, if the Viveka is pursued properly, what is permanent and what is impermanent, then it should lead to Vairagya. But when you understand, see the society, you will find that a scientist can very well understand what is permanent and what is impermanent. He will understand much better than the sadhaks also. But it may not lead him to Vairagya. He will live the life in the same manner as he was doing, even discriminating between what is permanent and what is impermanent. It does not have any effect on his life. He is pursuing it as a theory. So in such cases, in English we may call it discrimination, but in Sanskrit we won't call it Viveka. That is the sincerity of our Shastras. That means the test of Viveka is Vairagya. If the Viveka does not lead to Vairagya, then that Viveka has no meaning. Why? Once you understand that this is permanent, then you should go for the permanent. You should not run after the impermanent. Then you have not understood the meaning of permanent. See, I am trying to give you the gist of the sadhana. This is how, it will not be written in the book in this manner, but this is the way the sadhana proceeds. We should understand what the sadhana is, how all this philosophy can be made a life, can become living sadhana. So we will always test this Viveka, we have a lot of misconception about Vairagya. We have lot of misconceptions. So you may have a difficulty in understanding. Vairagya means Viraga, means colorless. Raga means color. Now the color is that generally we apply to the world the color of me and mine and related, like and dislike. The color with which, there is no harm in seeing red, green, blue and white. That will not cause any disturbance to our mind. But if the color is, this is my sun and that is another sun, then it is causing a partiality and taking away the impersonality from our mind. So the color of me and mine, or likes and dislikes, this person I like, the other lady I do not like. So it makes my behavior partial. So when it is a color of likes and dislikes, then me and mine, then it tarnishes our mind, it makes our mind partial, constricted. So Viraga or Vairagya means seeing the world as it is and seeing ourselves also as we are. It's a very simple statement. It can be applied anywhere. The real Vairagya is seeing the world as it is. Don't apply any color of your preconceived notion, your likes and dislikes and all that. Just as the world it is, it should appear to you. There should not be any ragadvesha, hatred and clinging. There will be good, there will be bad. You will know what is good, what is bad. You need not do the bad, that is fine. But you should not hate those who are bad. Normally, when we become good, we start hating the bad people. You cannot hate them. You can correct them, you can tell them, but you cannot hate a bad person also. So, you see the world as it is, and you see yourself also as you are. So, Vairagya, if translated into English, it is better to call it impersonality. It is not dispassion. Well, if dispassion we understand properly, it is dispassion, but it is the impersonality of the vision. So, Viveka must lead to impersonality of the vision, Vairagya. Now, if Viveka and Vairagya, they go on increasing, then automatically we are enriched by some wealth. Sampatti means wealth. Now, your sampatti might be the building, money, power, etc. But for a spiritual sadhak, the sampatti means it is only internal wealth. There is no external wealth in spirituality. You might be a king, you might be a beggar, it does not matter. You should have the internal wealth. So, Shama Damadi Shadka Sampatti means the sixfold internal treasure or internal wealth we can have. These are representing those. If Viveka and Vairagya grow properly, then automatically we will have this sixfold treasure. They will come one after another or together, helping each other. They are Shama, Dama, Titiksha, Uparati, Shraddha, Samadhana. These are the four. Shama means internal calmness, as the mind becomes free of desire. Because of the Viveka and Vairagya, naturally the mind will become free of desires, free of clinging, free of hatred. Otherwise, Vairagya will not done. So, naturally the mind will be enriched with Shama. This Shama will lead to Dama. You see the sequence is reverse as in yoga. Yoga, Dama comes first and Shama comes next. That is, you control your senses first and then you control your mind. Here there is no control. It is all happening from inside outward. That is, it is all through knowledge. When Vairagya dawns, the mind becomes placid, the mind becomes calm. Automatically your sense organs will not misbehave. They will be disciplined automatically. So here Shama leads to Dama, not Dama leading to Shama. Are you able to understand? So Shama, Dama, Titiksha. Titiksha means it is defined as Sahanam Sarva Dukkhanam Apratikara Purvakam. That means when there is difficulty, any difficulty we are facing, immediately we get upset about it. The moment the situation is not as I desire, it is not a desired situation, immediately we get either angry or our self-seatedness goes. We are affected by that is why we say that we are slave to the objective situation, slave to the worldly situation. Titiksha means winning over the objective situation. That means unaffectedness. That is, whether it is a very elating, very comfortable situation or it is a situation of difficulty, it will not affect you. Although it is defined as Sahanam Sarva Dukkhanam Apratikara Purvakam. That means all dukkha we should be able to bear, forbearance we should be able to bear without any looking for remedy. But here it means that remedy you can look for. Suppose things are not all right, you can set it right. But the main point here is the affectation. It is not all right to say that not looking for remedy. Whenever there is something wrong, we look for remedy. But our problem is we get affected and then look for remedy. That affectation should not be there. Are you able to understand? That disturbance in the mind should not be there. Things are wrong, you set right. Even when the society is wrong, you lead a revolution, no harm at all. You create everywhere a procession and march and what not. But you should not get affected by the situation. Your mind should be that I am trying, but it may not be set right. I am trying my best to set right the situation, that's all. Not that I am getting angry with the situation and I cannot tolerate it. That affectation should not be there. So Shama Dama will automatically lead to this kind of forbearance, this kind of unaffectedness. Actually, we define spirituality also as unaffectedness. Unaffectedness is spirituality. That means you can always test whether as a sadhak I have progressed or not from the unaffectedness of the mind. Suppose something you want to do and you are not able to do or others are not listening, we immediately get affected. When you grow in spirituality, if it is not done or others are not agreeing to do it, you should not get affected by that. You say whatever to be said for the value of it. Suppose you think that is to be done, you can express it for whatever it is worth, whatever your statement is worth. Then if it is not taken or it is not done, you should not get affected by that. So, titiksha then comes uparati. Uparati means a sense of withdrawal. It is not actually withdrawal. How can we say withdrawal when our Swamiji is always fighting for now the huge, what is that rally he had for parliament, against the parliament stalling and all. We cannot call it withdrawal from everything. It is actually a withdrawal from the uparati. Rati means reveling in something. Rati means reveling in, enjoying something. So uparati means he does not look for enjoyment in the world anymore. It will automatically come. When Shama, Dama, Titiksha comes, he starts reveling in his own inside. Because the mind will become so placid that automatically you will know that the source of joy is within, it is not outside. And the placidity of the mind, you will always have the joy from that. So, truly speaking, the uparati goes on increasing till it becomes atmaratihi. You mark the words, atmaratihi. That means he revels in the atma. Then the uparati becomes complete, that he does not revel in the other things. Because he understands the atma, it is a self parameter of the atma. It is a quality of the atma that always we call it bliss or so. So, atmaratihi, he has all his joy from the atma. So, shama, dama, titiksha, uparati, shraddha. When so much has come, shraddha they have brought to the end. Actually, shraddha could have been placed in the beginning also. But when they have placed at the end, it means giving supreme value to the supreme truth. Shraddha means actually it is defined as Shastreshu Guru Vakyeshu Bhakti Shraddha Nigadyate. That means one who gives full value to whatever has been spoken of in the Shastras and whatever is the instruction of the Guru. That is called Shraddha. That means one who gives full value to whatever has been spoken of in the Shastras and whatever is the instruction of the Guru. That is called Shraddha. But when it has been put at the end of so many qualities, I would like to interpret as this Shraddha means actually valuing something. So when in Vedanta you value this ultimate truth, we say always God is supreme, God is supreme. It's only a word of mouth. We don't consider God to be the supreme. Actually, God is at the last position here. Like police and military, when you cannot control your life anyway, you call police and military the society. In your case, individual life, when you cannot control the situation, you call God. So it is the last position. That God, whom we call supreme, he has to be given the supreme position. So in a very brief statement, you can remember giving supreme, the supreme position in life. That is the Shraddha. So, uparati, Shraddha, Samadhana. When you have given supreme value to this truth, to this life, to this ultimate goal, then automatically your mind will remain on that truth. Other things, you will do anything, but your mind will not get deviated. Now you are saying that when I sit for meditation to do sadhana or remember God or to do japa, all the thoughts of the world come and they disturb us. Here it will be ulta. Because you have given supreme position to supreme. The moment you have some time, automatically you will have meditation. That is why we say meditation one does not have to do. ध्यान करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, ध्यान होता है. ध्यान करना ठीक नहीं है, ध्यान होता है. Our mind should come to such a convergence that you will not be able to keep away from dhyana. The meditation will grip you. So, through knowledge, when we are going through such a purificatory process, even without meditation also the mind is remaining always on the truth. So, when there is nothing to do, you sit, automatically the mind will be in meditation. Automatically it will go into samadhi. So, it is called samadhana. That means the mind will always be induced with the truth. These are the 6 great internal wealth we speak of. Shama, Damadi, Shatka, Sampatti, the 6-fold wealth, internal wealth. The last one of the sadhana chatushta is mumuksha, that is the yearning for liberation. Now, liberation also, we have very funny ideas that I don't want to get born in the mother's womb again or so, that it is related to Punarjanma and all. It is not at all so. Punarjanma is a religious concept. In spirituality, it is not at all like that. Liberation means freedom. It means Jivan Mukti. Now we are finding bondage. Whatever I want to do, whatever I want to become, I am not able to. I want to become very good, but I am not able to become good. I want to become peaceful, but my mind is not peaceful. These are all bondages we suffer from. I want to become universal, but my mind remains always constricted, chota. छोटेपन से हम भाग नहीं सकते हैं. These are all the bondages. So mumuksha means to getting the yearning for getting liberated from any constriction, any ego, any bondage. Basically it is the ego, the small I. That yearning to get liberated from the small I. It is so much that even the great yogis, Gaudapada says that yoginaha vibhyati hyasmat abhaye bhayadarshinaha. That is when one is meditating and is about to get into the real self, the yogis fear it and they come back from there. Yoginaha vibhyati hyasmat abhaye bhayadarshinaha. They are fearful about the fearless abode, the abode of fearlessness. Why? Why? Because they think that I am going to die. The small ego is going. Their hold on the small ego is so much that when the small ego falls, they think that I am going to die. So they are fearful of that state. They are not able to achieve it because of that. That small ego is falling. So Gaudapada has mentioned thousands of years ago that yoginaha bibhyati hyasmat abhaye bhayadarshina. But if you can surpass that, then it is the abode of fearlessness. Because when you become one, non-dual, there is nothing to fear, there is no second to be fearful about. So that is the abode of fearlessness. Without that, the fear will not go. But even the yogis, they are not able to get over it. So mumuksha means to the yearning to get over this smallness, this duality, to get back to my original state, the universal I, my real identity I. That is the universal one and transcendental also. It's not one, because one also means limitation. So this is the meaning of sadhana chatushtaya, the fourfold pursuit a seeker must have. When a seeker has all these fourfold qualities, this fourfold pursuit in enough measure, then he becomes fit for practicing the Upanishadic sadhana. This is the general instruction. So suppose you have enough of these fourfold qualities in you without performing the yagas, well and good, without performing puja or ritual, fine, it doesn't matter at all. And even by doing lifelong puja and yaga and all, if you don't have, then you are not fit. This is the idea. Now that is why he starts with the first word Ushan Havai. Ushan means desirous of. That means Nachiketa's father was a desireful person for which he was doing the yaga. Then he will show how his desires were working, etc. I just here wanted to point out to this word Ushan, that is desire. Now all the Shastras you will find that they will speak about so many things about Atma, na jayate, na mriyate, va kadachit, this happens, that happens, so many about Atma, about Brahman, so many things they will put. Then finally, at the end, they will speak only about desirelessness. Because desire is a redundant element. Once we understand it and we are rid of it, then the sadhana is over. So desire is given the maximum importance. That is why the Upanishad is starting with Ushan. The word they have used in the beginning is desire. That is, your focus should be on desire, not on what is the meaning of soul, what is the meaning of Brahman, how one will have this, have that, this, that and all. Those are all philosophies to keep our mind and process the mind through a certain factory so that it becomes purified. But the real point is to get rid of desires. You will find, why don't you compare in Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, which is the Sankhya Yoga, where the truth is spoken of right in the beginning. After the first chapter. First chapter is Arjuna's statement. Arjuna preaching Krishna. That is not regarded for any sadhana as such, except that it creates the background. In the second chapter, it is the Sankhya Yoga. The highest truth has been spoken of right in the beginning. Then Krishna goes on to Karma Yoga and other things and all. Now, in the second chapter, at the end, but not at the end, you start right after all the theory has been spoken of. Krishna was a good disciple. He is asking, Sthitaprajnasya ka bhasha samadhisthasya keshava sthitadhihi kim prabhasheta kim asita vrajeta kim. This is called Sthitaprajna Darshana, 2.55 or something. You can see later in the Bhagavad Gita. He is asking that, oh Krishna, you have been telling me about the realization of the soul and becoming Sthitaprajna and Sthitadhi and all. Well, I have understood the theory, but let me know a person who has realized this truth, how does he behave? That means whatever Brahman is or whatever Atma, the truth of Atma is, a human being is going to realize that truth. And the effect will be on the human personality. So, truth as an abstract we are not interested in. We are only interested in what are the changes brought about by the realization of truth in a human life. Is it not so? So, Arjuna was intelligent enough to ask that question. That too he asked it in a very good manner, that Sthitaprajnasya ka bhasha samadhisthasya keshava. Samadhisthasya sthitaprajnasya ka bhasha. Bhasha means definition. That means a sthitaprajna who is in samadhi, in the steady state. How do you define his condition? Because from outside you will not know what is, he is just quiet. Whether he is sleeping also sometimes you will not be able to understand. So, what is that state of the Sthitaprajna when he is in Samadhi? The next line he is asking, Sthitadhihi kim prabhasheta kim asita brajeta kim. Kim prabhasheta, how does he speak? Kim asita, how does he sit? Vrajeta, how does he move? These are figurative expression. That means interactional life. The first is non-interactional and the second is interactional life. That is the same Sthitaprajna when he comes out of his Samadhi and he becomes a Sthitadhi, established in his knowledge. How does he move around? How does he interact with the world? Can it be defined? Oh Krishna, I want to know how it can be defined. I am interested in knowing that, because how, after the knowledge, what am I going to be? What my personality should be? This is the question. And immediately the first reply you see, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan. Sarvan manogatan kaman yada prajahati. When all the kamas from the mind, which are seated in the mind, they are all expelled. See, the kama is coming right in the beginning. Not only in the beginning, the end of that Sthitaprajna Darshana is Vihaya kaman yas sarvan pumamscharati nispriha nirmamo nirahankaraha sashanti madhigacchati. Esha brahmi sthiti partha nainam prapya myohyati sthitvasyam antakalepi brahma nirvanam richati. There also he is saying Vihaya kaman yas sarvan. Sarvan kaman vihaya. Sab काम को, desires को त्याग करके. See how important it is everywhere. In Kathopanishad, it starts with Ushan Havai Vajasravasha, who was not a seeker of knowledge, who was not a fit seeker of knowledge. So, not a seeker also. He was desirous. And at the Kathopanishad ends with two verses, the last two verses before, it is the 14th verses and 15th verses in the last chapter. Yada sarve pramuchyante kamayasya hridishritaha athamatyo amrito bhavati atra brahma samashnute. Yada sarve prabhidyante hridayasyeha granthayah athamatyo amrito bhavati etavadhyanuशासनम. Yada sarve pramuchyante kamayasya hridishritaha. When hridi ashritaha sarve kamaha pramuchyante. See, all the theories and all, so much he has spoken in this whole book. Finally, he is ending with that Ushan, linking it to the Ushan. Yada sarve pramuchyante कामायस्य हृदिश्रिताः अथ मत्यो अमृतो भवति अत्र ब्रह्म समश्नुते. Then the mortal man, he is calling us always Matyah, 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 reminding us that we are linking us with the body-mind personality, which is mortal. Then the mortal man becomes immortal. That is, his links his identity not with the mortal body-mind personality, but the universal soul, which is unchanging. Athamatyo amrito bhavati. The mortal man becomes immortal. Atra brahma samashnute. Here itself, in this life, on this earth, he attains Brahman, not after the body falls. So this is the subject of the Upanishad. How it happens, that is all it has been spoken of. I have told you from the beginning and the end. This in between is the path. Always you should try to link with the various Shastras. At least Bhagavad Gita you know. Why not link with Bhagavad Gita, different chapters and all? It will give you lot of clarity, and it's a good exercise also. People go on playing crossword puzzle and all. It's a very good puzzle you can play. The mind will become like sky-like. The effect will be directly felt. It is immediately to be felt. It will be a spatial feeling inside, sky-like feeling inside. Shankaracharya says that when he is criticizing the ritualistic part of the Vedas and talking about the Jnana Kanda, he is saying that Svargadau anubhava anarudhe shanka syat asti va nava iti. Anubhava arudham tu jnana phalam. What is he saying? Svargadau, that means Svarga, Naraka, etc., various things which have been spoken of in the Karma Kanda. Anubhava anarudhe or Anubhava anarudha vishaye, that is, whichever is Anubhava anarudha means cannot be experienced. Svarga cannot be proved, cannot be disproved also. Can you disprove Svarga is, suppose somebody says Svarga is there. You cannot prove it. You cannot disprove also it is not there. The Vedas are saying that these are the Svargas. You cannot disprove. They are all Anubhava anarudha, anarudha vishaya. About them, a seeker should not bother about it at all. He should not try to find out whether the crow has a teeth, kakadanta asti nava iti, that whether the crow has got a special tooth there or not. He should not run after the Svarga, Naraka. They are Anubhava anarudha. They cannot be experienced. You look at the whole world. Has anybody come back from the Svarga and said that I am here? Come here. It's all our imagination. But if it is there also, you cannot disprove it. Let it be there or let it not be there. How does it matter to us in this life? So, Anubhava anarudhe shanka syat. Always there will be doubt. Asti ba nava iti. Whether it is there, wo hai ya nahi hai. It sandeh kabhi nahi jayega, rahega. Because they are all not experiential. They are not Anubhava. They are only concepts. Anubhava arudham tu jnana phalam. The result of knowledge is always experiential. The moment you apply the knowledge and you enter into the soul qualities, the qualities will be felt by you. You will feel the peace, you will feel the sky-like dimension, you will feel the universal dimension, you will feel how I remain unaffected, whatever happens to me. May everybody die around me, I may lose everything, even then nothing happens to me. Such a unshakable courage you will feel inside. It is a Anubhava arudham tu jnana phalam. It is experiential. Every moment, every step it is experiential. As I was saying that you test your spirituality by seeing unaffectedness. That unaffectedness should grow every day. Last year how much of unaffectedness you had and now you have. If it has increased, the affectedness has increased, that means you have gone down. Earlier, if somebody abuses you, perhaps you were not so angry, but now you cannot tolerate anymore. That means you are going the backward, you are flowing down. So you can easily test, where am I? It is not like puja, जब 50 साल से पूजा करते आ रहे हैं, हमें तो पता नहीं है भगवान संतुष्ट हुए कि नहीं, वो पास में आया है, एक कदम हमारे पास आए हैं या हम उनके पास एक कदम गए हैं, कौन बोलेगा? कुछ नहीं है. फिर भी हम पूजा करते जाते हैं बुद्धू जैसा. अरे सोचना चाहिए ना, आप जब खाते हैं तो आप अगर पेट नहीं भरा तो आप प्रश्न नहीं उठाएंगे कि ये खाना है या हम और कुछ स्वप्न देख रहे हैं, हमारा तो पेट तो भरा नहीं है, खाना ठीक नहीं है. Is it not? Are you not always looking into causality? Suppose you walking towards CIRD and you don't reach. Will you not question that I have taken a wrong path or something? But about this puja ritual, nobody ever questions. Such a buddhu we are. We are going on doing it for 50 years, 60 years, as long as the life, next life also, if it is there, we will do without questioning. Have I reached or is God there or not? Nothing. So, Shankaracharya is clearly saying, Anubhava arudham tu jnana phalam. Every point it is experienceable, it has to be experienced. So, he says that Vajasravas, this, as far as I know, this Vishwajit Yaga is to be done in one day. It's not a long 1 year preparation like Ashwamedha Yaga. It's a one day, but it's a great Yaga where everything has to be given. Now, all these Yagas, they end with a dana, which is very important because that expands your mind. People are holding on, our mind is constricted. So, by dana, the mind has to be expanded. Whatever you are holding on. So, most of the danas, the important yagas, you have to become pauper. The other day also I said a Karidasha's Raghuvamsha king, that he was coming to welcome the sannyasin with a mritpatra carrying water because all the gold has been given off. So, dana is extremely important. So, this is a scene where Vajasravas, Nachiketa's father, is doing the dana, where everything has to be given off. Now, he had a putra called Nachiketa. This is the first verse. Second, he says, Tamha Kumaram Santam, that Kumara, Nachiketa, maybe 8 years or so, below 8 years, Kumara. What happened to him? Dakshinasu niyamanasu shraddha avivesha, so amanyata. Whatever the father had brought for giving dakshina to the priests who had done the yaga for him. We call the priest for doing the yaga, that is, they are responsible for putting him into the heaven. So they have to be pleased properly. They have to be given the best of the gifts should be given to them because they are the kata of all these things. He is only a yajamana. He has called the priest to do the yajna for him. So when he brought the materials to be given to the priest, seeing that, Upanishad says, in Nachiketa's mind, Shraddha dawned. I have already explained Shraddha. Shraddha dawned. Shraddha avivesha. Shraddha dawned means he had given enough value to whatever the Shastras have spoken, whatever he had learned, whatever the Guru's statements, etc. Everywhere in the Shastras, in Taittiriya Upanishad, it is there where you find all this Matridevo Bhavo, Pitridevo Bhavo, Atithidevo Bhava. In that same mantra, if you go further, you will find that Shraddhaya Deyam, Ashraddhaya Adeyam, Shriya Deyam, Hriya Deyam. That means Shraddhaya Deyam. When you are gifting anything, you should give it with enough of respect, value, that whom you are giving, whatever you are giving, it is not just, oh, हमारा है, ले लो. ऐसे नहीं. वो आपका कोई काम में आएगा. और whatever we are giving, I am fortunate that you are there for accepting my gift. Suppose nobody is there to accept your gift, how will you give? If there is nobody to take dana, so should we not be grateful to the people who came for the कम्बल? 40 आदमी नहीं आए तो हमारे वो कम्बल हमारे पास पड़ा हुआ है अभी. So we should be grateful that there are people to take the gift you are giving. So Shraddhaya Deyam, Ashraddhaya Adeyam. Never you better don't give, but don't give with Ashraddha. You get the point? If you give it with Shraddha. Even if you don't give, it is okay, but don't ever give it with Ashraddha. Shriyadeyam, it should be given with enough of Shritvam. Shritvam means suppose you are a Krodapati, you should give corresponding to, in parallel to that. Suppose you have your income is only 100 rupees a month. If you give 5 rupees also, it is great. It is Shriyadeyam. But if you are getting 5 lakhs and you give 100 rupees or 500 rupees, it is not Shriyadeyam. It's not Shriyadeyam. Shritvam means you should give with the proper level, proportion. No, but I want to find out a Shri, that word for Shri. Actually, Shri we call Lakshmi, Lakshmi, Lakshmi. But Lakshmi is the god of perfection, god of propriety. Hriyadeyam, Hriyadeyam, Lajjayadeyam. That means when you are giving, you should not feel proud about it. Oh, I am giving something, but will it be all right for you? That it should be enough of, not with a great proud showing off. There are others also there. Hriyadeyam, Shriyadeyam, Hriyadeyam, Bhiyadeyam, Samvidadeyam. Like that it goes. So all these things, they are initial lessons in the dharma studies of any student. So Nachiketa felt that, what is this my father is doing? So amanyata, that means after the Shraddha dawned in Nachiketa's mind, he started thinking. That small boy Nachiketa, छोटा बच्चा है 8 साल का, वो सोचने लगा कि क्या सोचने लगा, ये हमारा पिताजी क्या कर रहे हैं? ये तो शास्त्र में तो ऐसा नहीं बताया गया है. शास्त्र में बताया गया है श्रियादेयम, ह्रियादेयम, श्रद्धयादेयम. ये हमारे पिताजी क्या सब गाय लेके आ रहे हैं प्रीस्ट को देने के लिए, जो पूजा किए हैं पुरोहित को देने के लिए. ये सब क्या, कहाँ से लाए हैं गौ? क्या गौ देखिए आप. पीतोदका जगधतृणा,
पीतोदका जगधतृणा,
दुग्धदोहा निरिन्द्रियाः,
दुग्धदोहा निरिन्द्रियाः.
पीतोदका जगधतृणा,
पीतोदका जगधतृणा,
दुग्धदोहा निरिन्द्रियाः,
दुग्धदोहा निरिन्द्रियाः.
अनन्दा नाम ते लोकाः,
अनन्दा नाम ते लोकाः,
तान् स गच्छति ताददत्.
तान् स गच्छसि ताददत्.
This is the beauty of Sanskrit. The cows are described. Pito daka, one word only. That is how telegrams can be written shorter in Sanskrit. Pito dakaha means the cows which have drank their water for the last time. वो जितना पानी पीने का था पी लिया है. पीता उदकाहा. उदका means पानी and पीता means वो पी लिया है. जो पानी उनको पीना था वो पी लिया है. मतलब और कभी नहीं पिएंगे पानी. तो क्या हाल है? अभी गिरने वाली है. जगधतृणा, जितना घास खाने का था सब चिवा लिया है, सब खा लिया है, और कभी घास नहीं खाएगा. This is Nachiketa's mind. He is describing the cows, saying the cows, what my father has brought, these are the cows he is going to gift. That means he is clearing off his cowshed, whatever it is. Dugdha doha, that means जिसका milk, दूध पूरा लेना हो गया, और कभी वो काफ भी नहीं देगा, दूध भी नहीं देगा, बछड़ा भी नहीं देगा, दूध भी नहीं देगी. निरिंद्रियाः, जिनके इंद्रिया सब ठीक नहीं है. Maybe one horn is not there, one leg is broken, limpingly coming, the nirindriyaha. This is the description of the cows. If these are the cows, my father is going, suppose he does not have a good cow to be given, should he give this kind of cows? That is what they are saying. Ashraddhaya adeyam. That is Nachiketa's Shraddha. Nachiketa immediately caught hold of it. If it is not there, let him not give. But he cannot give this kind of cows. What will happen? Ananda namate lokaha tan sagachati ta dadat. In the Shastras, according to the Shastras, if anybody gifts like this, he will not go to the heaven, but he will go to a hell, Ananda, where there is no joy at all. Ananda means, Ananda namate loka means to a loka where there is no joy at all. That means hell. He will be taken to the hell instead of the heaven. If you don't have, then you don't give. But you cannot give like this. हमारा पूजा में ठीक उल्टा होता है. आप बाजार में देखते हैं ना, जब पूजा करते हैं, दादा पूजर कला नियजन पूजर, छोटा छोटा केला कोई नहीं खा सकेगा, मनुष्य भी नहीं खाएगा. वो पूजा में देने के लिए भेजते हैं, है नहीं? पूजा के लिए स्पेशल केला आता है उस समय. सो दैट इज वॉट एवर वी कैन नॉट टेक, वी आर ऑफरिंग टू द गॉड. देयर आर अदर पीपल ऑल्सो, दोज हु विल कवर इट अप. वो सबको ही ऐसे ही करते हैं. That is, they will not, if you tell them, they will say, सबको ही ऐसे ही करते हैं, बाजार में ऐसा मिलता है. That means they are, if you point out that defect, they will cover it up. They will also quote sometimes, देखे नहीं भगवद गीता में है, पत्रम पुष्पम फलम तोयम यो मे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति तदहम भक्ति उपहृतम अष्टामी प्रयतात्मनः. वो भगवान खाली एक पत्ता देने से भी खुश हो जाते हैं. आप क्यों बोल रहे हैं? केला तो उससे अच्छा एक पत्ता देने से भी भगवान खुश हो जाते हैं. अरे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति, वो देखिए भक्ति के साथ, एंड तदहम भक्ति उपहृतम. That bhakti part God takes. God does not eat the kela. God eats the bhakti. So if you have the shraddha, bhakti, etc., that is the part which is to be offered. So ये काफ़ी ऐसा चलता है. That Upanishad has not put it just like that. That means 10,000 years ago also all these things were happening. हम सोचते हैं कि सत्य युग में कुछ नहीं था. करप्शन वही भी पूरा करप्शन था. So this is what Nachiketa is. Now he is thinking further. Everything the Upanishad will not say. That will be very brief. Some you have to make up from the later shlokas, some for the Vedas, from the Vedas where it is appearing. The Upanishads are all appearing in the Vedas. This is from Krishna Yajurveda. Now he is thinking that the Shastras say like this. Now, my father has already started gifting all these things, and whatever papa through that sin to be done, sin has been done. Now, how to protect my father? He will be taken to the hell. How to protect him from the sin he has committed? So he remembered that of all the dana, putra dana is the best dana. Nobody gives his son as a gift. And a good son like me, if the father gives to anybody, then it will be a great gift which can offset the sin committed by giving all these useless cows. So I shall go to the father and tell him that to gift me. So he went near the father and he is asking that, oh father, whom are you going to gift me? He asked once, twice, thrice. The father is not replying. What does it mean? Already चढ़ गया है दिमाग, एंग्री. वो बच्चा हमें पकड़ लिया है. हम वो जो दे रहे हैं वो बच्चा देख के पकड़ लिया है कि हम गलत कर रहे हैं. So generally when we do something wrong and if it is caught, we don't correct it. We try to defend it. So बहुत गुस्सा आ गया. He finally came out with the statement that हम तुम्हें यमराज को देंगे. इसका अर्थ क्या है? बेटा तुम मर जा. Is it not so? हम तुम्हें यमराज को देंगे मतलब बेटा तुम मर जा. Cursing to death. So this is the shloka. Then again Nachiketa's thoughts. Sahovacha pitaram tata.
सहोवाच पितरं तथा
Kasmai mam dasyasiti.
कस्मै मां दास्यसीति.
द्वितीयं तृतीयं तं होवाच.
द्वितीयं तृतीयं तं होवाच.
मृत्यवे त्वा ददामीति.
मृत्यवे त्वां ददामीति.
तथा कस्मै मां दास्यसि. O father, whom will you gift me? Dvitiyam tritiyam tam hovacha. Twice, thrice he said. Then finally the father came out with the statement, Mrityave tva dadamiti. I give you to the Lord of Death, to death. Now Nachiketa started thinking that my father must be angry. Otherwise why should he curse me to death? So he is thinking, Bahunamemi prathamo.
बहूनामेमि प्रथमो.
बहूनामेमि मध्यमः.
बहूनामेमि मध्यमः.
किं स्विद्यमस्य कर्तव्यम्.
किं स्विद्यमस्य कर्तव्यम्.
यन्मयाद्य करिष्यति.
यन्मयाद्य करिष्यति.
बहूनामेमि प्रथमः. Bahunam emi madhyamaha. He is thinking that Bahunam means they must be in the, maybe the father was the teacher also, and where he was also studying in the Gurukula along with others, or maybe in the Gurukula he is referring to, those details are not given. He is comparing his status, that his mind, that amongst many I am the first. That means he is a very good student. That we will know that he was a brilliant student who could relate, who could repeat whatever Yamaraja said in the form of Agni Vidya immediately, and Yamaraja was surprised to see such a boy. So he was a brilliant boy. In various fields, in various things, I am the best amongst others. Bahunam emi prathamaha. I go the best. Emi means actually going. I go the best amongst many. Bahunam emi madhyamaha. In many others, in other field or so, I am mediocre maybe. Maybe I am mediocre. But I am never adhamaha is the meaning. That I am never the nikrishta, last. See, in Shishyas there are three kinds of Shishyas, I have told earlier also. That Uttama, Madhyama and Adhama. That Uttama means such Shishyas, Gurus without Guru saying, he will be able to do the things properly. That is, they understand what the Guru needs at what point and they will do accordingly. Their attention is so much, their love is so much, dedication is so much, that they do the things in the right time, in the right manner. They are called Uttama Shishyas. There are Madhyamas whom the Guru will have to ask, and then only they will do. If the Guru does not tell, then they will not do. There are Adhamas, even if the Guru says, they will not do. Repeatedly the Guru has to, do baba, to baad mein karega. 5 baar sunne se karega. Adhama. And there are others, they do reverse of what the Guru says. Guru says you go there, so they will not go, they will go some other else, the opposite side. They are not Shishyas. Shishya means those who take to the discipline given by the Guru. Those who do the opposite, they are not considered Shishyas. Adhama Shishya, up to that only the Shishya we can say. So he says that I am first in many and I am mediocre in some others maybe. Kim svid vyamasya kartavyam yan mayadya karishyati. Why did my father say that you go to Yamaraja? What purpose Yamaraja will have with me? What is the work he is going to do by me? This is the direct meaning of the statement. That is, what is the purpose of sending me to death? Why did my father say that? He thought that there is no purpose. Father must have said out of anger. But at the same time, again he was in trouble because father has uttered something and that should be followed. That should become truth. Otherwise my father again will be incurring sin. Just like Rama's, that Dasharatha said that I will send him to forest. So when Dasharatha is telling him that don't go, everybody is saying don't go, then also he, to keep the father's truth, that whatever my father has committed, I should do it, so that my father is not proven as liar. So he went to the forest. Like that here also he says that my father's word, since he has uttered, it should be proven true. So I will go to Yamaraja. Now there is a myth and reality mix there. He will go to Yamaraja straight away. So it's not that he died or committed suicide, something that they will not say. He went to Yamaraja. So still further he is thinking, the 6th verse. Anupashya yatha purve.
Anupashya yatha purve.
Pratipashya tatha pare.
Pratipashya tatha pare.
Sasyamiva matyah pachyate.
Sasyamiva martyah pachyate.
Sasyamiva jayate punaha.
Sasyamiva jayate punaha.
Anupashya yatha purve.
Anupashya yatha purve.
Pratipashya tatha pare.
Pratipashya tatha pare.
Sasyamiva matyah pachyate.
Sasyamiva martyah pachyate.
Sasyamiva jayate punaha.
Sasyamiva jayate punaha.
Anupashya yatha purve. Pratipashya tatha pare. Sasyam iva matyah pachyate. Sasyam iva ajayate punaha. He is thinking that if you look back, then also you will find what the rishis have said, or those who are wise, whatever they have said earlier. And if you look now around also, whatever the great people they say. So, anupashya yatha purve pratipashya tatha apare. That is the past wise men, whatever they have said, and the present people, whatever wise men, whatever they observe. They always say that sasyamiva matyah pachyate, sasyamiva ajayate punaha. What is so great in death? Why should we be scared of death at all? People grow like paddy and also die like paddy. That sasya means which is annual growth. Annually they grow, seasonal. Seasonally they grow and seasonally they die also. Like that, people are getting born, people are dying. What is so great about death? And this is what the past people, past wise men also said, and the present wise people also have said. Now, you can easily understand if you have followed my earlier interpretations that this desire, later on in Kathopanishad itself, he is saying, Swalpam api swalpam jivit api sarvam jivitam alpameva. There is a statement, we will come to that. Api sarvam jivitam alpameva. He is telling Yamaraja, oh Yamaraja, you have given me such a long life of 10,000 years and with so much of luxury and all. But the lifespan is insufficient for everybody. Api sarvam jivitam alpameva. Alpam means insufficient. That is, if the desires have not gone, then at 50 years also your life will be insufficient. If the desires have not left you after 10,000 years also, you would like to live further. You will not like to embrace death at that point also. So the sufficiency is not governed by the lifespan. It is governed by the desirelessness of the mind. When you are ready to take anything, you live life and you embrace death when the death comes. So Nachiketa's this attitude, this thought shows that this kind of a desire-free mind he had. That he is thinking, immediately he is thinking that what is so great about death? I will go. Because people are there, people get born, people die. Like that, I will also be like that. Just like the paddy, it grows and it is cut off or it gets worn out, it withers seasonally. Saying that, now Upanishad is silent about the whole thing. The other things will be known from later shlokas, so I have to supplement the story here. That saying that, he walks to the Yama's palace. Now when he reached Yama's palace, Yamaraja was not there. He was absent. So he remained at his door without food, without water for 3 days and 3 nights. This shows his commitment because father has sent him to Yamaraja. From the myth you have to cull out the message there. The father has sent him to Yamaraja and he has to meet the Yamaraja. If Yamaraja has gone out, till Yamaraja comes back, I should be there. Generally, nobody would be there. वो भेजा था उनके पास, MD नहीं थे तो हम वापस आ गए. Maybe MD came back after 5 minutes. This person has come back by then. तो फिर से गया तो फिर MD काम में बिजी हो गए, कहीं और चले गए, तो काम नहीं बनता है. He is not that kind of a person. He is sitting there. He did not even go for looking for food, looking for water, anything. He can, that shows the titiksha I spoke just now. Titiksha, sahanam sarva dukkhanam apratikara purvakam. Unaffectedness of the mind, that he could bear the hunger and thirst for the commitment, for the purpose he had come. That shows that, see how the story is showing that all the sadhana chatushtaya Nachiketa was enriched with. That is the purpose of the story. So he remained at his door without food, without drink, without going anywhere for 3 days. Then Yamaraja came back after 3 days. And next shloka is speaking about then, that they found such a brilliant brahmachari is sitting at Yamaraja's door, and seeing him, coming to know that 3 days, 3 nights he has been sitting there without food, without drink. it will be great sin for a grihastha. Yamaraja was a grihastha. Grihastha means householder, palace holder. So, it will be great sin for a householder if such a powerful Brahma, for anybody, even if an Atithi sits without food and drink for 3 days, 3 nights, it will be a great sin. In this case, it is not a common Atithi, it's a very brilliant Brahmacharin who has come and sitting there. So he says that when Yamaraja came, his Parishad Varga, his maybe the ministers or the family people, they are telling Yamaraja that, oh, Vaivasvata is Yamaraja. Vivaswan Putra, Yamaraja is in the lineage of son. Vaishvanarah Pravishati.
Vaishvanarah pravishati.
Atithir Brahmano Grihan.
Atithir Brahmano Grihan.
Tasyaitam Shantim Kurvanti.
Tasyaitam Shantim Kurvanti.
Haravaivasvatodakam.
Haravaivasvatodakam.
Vaishvanarah Pravishati.
Vaishvanarah pravishati.
Atithir Brahmano Grihan.
Atithir Brahmano Grihan.
Tasyaitam Shantim Kurvanti.
Tasyaitam Shantim Kurvanti.
Haravaivasvatodakam.
Haravaivasvatodakam.
Vaishvanaraha is another term for Agni, for fire. Pravishati means entering. Atithir Brahmanaha Vaishvanaraha iva Atithihi Grihan Pravishati. That Brahmachari, like fire, it should be like that. A real Brahmachari will blaze like fire because he does not have the dross of the worldliness as yet. He is untouched by that. He is pure, he is brilliant. So a brilliant Brahmacharin like fire has come as a guest. Tasya etam shantim kurvanti. O Vaivasvata hara udakam. You must make him peaceful. You must see that he is not neglected. O Yamaraja, bring water and Padya Arghya, we say that water for washing the feet and Arghya for offering him something. That, oh Yamaraja, you bring Padya and Arghya for him because it's a great, powerful Brahmachari who is sitting here without food, without drink. Now this is very much in our culture, wherever in these statements it is there that anything that is having a special power, it should be given the corresponding value. Otherwise there will be amangala. Suppose I always give the example of fire, that earlier we were cooking in the wood or koila oven, which the fire, there was much less danger, there was not much danger, the fire was less. But even then our tradition was, before we start cooking in the morning, we would utter some mantras and give some offering, kolam, first we will put some kolam, and the first rice or so we will give an offering. What does it mean? That the fire has got great power and it is helping us to take food, for cooking our food, which is nourishing us. So always this is the awareness, the attention we need. The spirituality is nothing else. It will always to be aware of the whole situation. Are we aware of this situation? The greatness of the fire, our gratefulness, what kind of gratefulness should be there towards fire? So we should honor it with mantras, we should decorate the fire oven with kolam, and then we offer, the first rice is offered in fire. All these things, it means a lot that we are giving something valuable, the valuable position. That is called Shraddha. Here the Shraddha is understood. Suppose now we have replaced with gas oven, which is much more powerful than that. If any time because of anavadhanata, because of inattention, if anything happens, the whole family will die, the whole house will collapse. So much is the power. So should we not be more careful about handling the cylinder, handling the oven, because they have much more power in it. Similarly, the weapons, the nuclear weapon, you know that it is several circles of security is there. Just one person getting agitated and shooting sending off the nuclear weapon, it will not be possible. In some cases, the final key remains with the president, perhaps. In USA, there are 3 barriers, I feel. Even then, sometimes mistakes have taken place. So, the more powerful is anything, the more powerful the items are, the more we should be attentive about it, and we should give a proper value. So, guests are always to be respected. In that also, we should be careful about who is the guest and what is he like. If we can understand, we should be giving corresponding regard and respect for him. That is what he is teaching here. So, Yamaraja, you bring water and satisfy him with your offering. 8th verse is further giving us the instructions. Asha pratikshe sangatam sunritam cha.
Asha pratikshe sangatam sunritam cha.
See, this cha has gone to the second line, cheshta purte. Actually, it is sunritam cha, then ishta purte. Asha pratikshe sangatam sunritam cha.
Asha pratikshe sangatam sunritam cha.
Ishtapurte putra pashumscha sarvan.
Ishtapurte putra pashumscha sarvan.
Etad vringte purushasya
Etad vringte purushasya
Etad vringte purushasya
Etad vringte purushasya.
What is this? Yes.
Yasyanashnan
vasati brahmano grihe.
Yasyanashnan vasati.
No, I think it is yasyanashnan. Yasya anashnan. Yasyanashnan vasati brahmano grihe.
Yasyanashnan brahmano grihe.
Asha pratikshe.
Asha pratikshe.
Sangatam sunritam cha.
Sangatam sunritam cha.
Ishtapurte.
Ishtapurte.
Putra pashumscha sarvan.
Putra pashumscha sarvan.
Etad vringte.
Etad vringte.
Purushasya alpamedhaso.
Purushasya alpamedhaso.
Yasyanashnan.
Yasyanashnan.
Vasati brahmano grihe.
Vasati brahmano grihe.
Asha pratikshe sangatam sunritam cha. Ishtapurte putra pashumscha sarvan. Etad vringte purushasya अल्पमेधसः यस्य अनश्नन् वसति ब्राह्मणो गृहे. जिनके घर में ब्राह्मण अतिथि अनश्नन बैठे हुए हैं, मतलब बिना खाए पिए बैठे हुए हैं, उनका क्या हाल होता है, उनकी हाल क्या होगी. दैट इज़ व्हाट दे आर सेइंग. जिन गृहस्थ के घर में ब्राह्मण अतिथि बिना खाए पिए बैठे हुए हैं, उनका क्या हाल होता है. He says asha pratikshe. Asha and pratiksha, there are two shade difference in meaning. Asha means which we are hoping, but pratiksha means it will come but we are expecting. It will come but we are only waiting for it to happen. So there is a definiteness, another is there is indefiniteness. He says both are gone. For such a person, whatever he is hoping and whatever he is expecting, both good things will be spoiled. If this happens, what happens? when the Brahmana Atithi is, Brahmachari Atithi is sitting without food and drink there. Sangatam Sunritam Cha. Sangatam means the merit obtained from the association with virtuous people, that is Satsanga. The merit we gain by being in the association of virtuous people or saints, Satsanga, that is considered a punya. Whatever punyas are there by that. And Sunritam means whatever good words we have spoken. Is it not? Sunritam means whatever good words we have spoken. That is also a punya. That is, they are saying whatever a punya a grihastha has acquired by all his good deeds, everything will be spoiled if this happens. That is, his expected things will fail, his hopes will be spoiled. Whatever merits punya he has accumulated by good words and good association, that will be spoiled. Ishta purte, that means ishta and purta. Ishta means whatever we are worshipping, and purta means for loka kalyana, that welfare work, whatever we do. That means helping people, organizing dana satra, or digging well for the general public, arranging for water, making buildings or latrine, bathroom for the people. All these are called purta. Making road, tanks, road relievers those days. These are all purta. That is, all of them are punya karma. We will acquire punya by doing good works. Similarly, ishta means whatever ritualistic, worshipful things we had done, that is also punya, because it is aiming at God or some ishtadeva. So, all the benefits, the punyas of ishta and purta, they will be spoiled. Putra pashumscha sarvan, even the son, the progeny, and the cows and the wealth, everything will be lost. So people should not be negligent about such an atithi visiting their house. All the work they have listed, everything is there. Etad vringte purushasya alpamedhasaha. He is saying such a purusha is alpamedhas, because he is not able to understand the effect of such neglect. So he is an alpamedhas, such a purush. For him, everything, all these good things will be spoiled. So these are instructions from the Vedas actually. That what are the instructions for the householders? You will find in the Upanishads also. The gist is given. In Vedas they are given in great detail. Even in Taittiriya Upanishad, all these instructions are very much there. Whatever I have told you just now, that Shriyadeyam, Hriyadeyam, etc., they are there where the Gurukula students, during their convocation, they are bidding farewell to the Guru, they are departing from they are going away from after their patha is over, they are leaving their school, their Gurukula, and going for household life or whatever life they are going for. At that time, the Guru is giving those instructions. In Taittiriya Upanishad, they are there. So whatever instructions they have to follow during their household life or kingly life, all those things are there. In various Upanishads also it is there. In Brihadaranyaka towards the end, lots of instructions are there. Regarding children also. How, if you want a very talented children, what you should do. If you want a Jivan Mukta children who will become a knower, what you should do. If you want a king, like powerful children, what you should do. All instructions are there. We don't read, we don't know. It is all written in our Shastras. And for that, all Anushtanas are there. Right from beginning, even before conception, we have some Anushtanas to be performed. Then after conception, every 2 months, 3 months, we have some Anushtanas to be performed. So that the child born will be a qualitative child. It is a proper offering to the society. We forget actually that a child born, we are a Brahma of a new lineage, because it is not ending with the child. He will give rise to the next generation, next generation, next generation. So it is a full lineage I am introducing by giving birth to a child in this world. So it is actually initiating a part of the society, a lineage in the society. So how much we should be responsible about it to introduce a good lineage. All our Upanishads, they speak about all these things. We have forgotten. It cannot be negligently done. It cannot be inattentively done. Particularly they are very much there in Brihadaranyaka. I will read the next verse and stop, I think. In next verse and stop. Tisro ratrihi
तिस्रो रात्रिः
yadavatsir grihe me.
यदवात्सीर्गृहे मे
Tisro ratrir yadavatsir grihe me.
तिस्रो रात्रिर्यदवात्सीर्गृहे मे
Anashnan brahman atithir namasyah.
अनश्नन् ब्रह्मन्नतिथिर्नमस्यः
Anashnan brahman atithir namasyah.
अनश्नन् ब्रह्मन्नतिथिर्नमस्यः
Namastestu brahman swasti mestu.
नमस्तेऽस्तु ब्रह्मन् स्वस्ति मेऽस्तु
Namastestu brahman swasti mestu.
नमस्तेऽस्तु ब्रह्मन् स्वस्ति मेऽस्तु
Tasmat prati
तस्मात् प्रति
trinvaran vrinishva.
त्रीन् वरान् वृणीष्व
Yamaraja is telling Nachiketa that 3 nights you have stayed here without food and drink. O Brahmana Atithi, O Brahmachari Atithi, I prostrate before you. See, this Yamaraja is going to be the teacher for Nachiketa. And he is saying, I prostrate before you. The humility of a person, a knower, who is a king. Atithir namasyaha, you are a namasya atithi. Namastestu Brahman, I prostrate before you. Namo namaha. Swasti meyastu, may there be mangala for me. That is, I have done a great sin by keeping you like this. Please be pleased with me and let there be mangala for me. Tasmat prati trin varan vrinishva. So, to relieve me of the sin of keeping you without food and water for 3 nights, please accept 3 vara, boons from me. That is, boons he is not giving, but see, here is also something is being gifted. But hriya deyam, shiya deyam, shraddhaya deyam. He is not saying that, beta tumko 3 var de rahe hain, jao, bhago, jao, le jao. He is not saying like that. He is doing with so much of humility that I have done sin. You should relieve me of the sin. Please accept 3 boons so that I can be relieved of my sin. The Yamaraja is saying. We will stop here.